It is the money. It's probably, as you build your music library, it's going to be worth more than anything, because you, especially as a DJ, when you get around artists, you might have exclusive tracks nobody's ever heard before. You may have edits that you've made that nobody else has, like,
or like dubs.
Yeah, stuff like that people pay for. And it's like, imagine losing that. Like, your music library it literally is priceless, pretty much. Yeah.
So I'm here today with DJ Steph Honey.
Hi.
Super excited to be here with you today. The first time I heard you playing was at that Nike event that we got invited to. And I remember you were playing and I was just like, yo, this girl's so good.
Thank you.
I was like, if
dancehall too, which I usually don't play.
In my mind, I was like, if I was a DJ, I would DJ like her. Because, and this is something that I was talking about earlier on another episode, but it's like some DJs don't read the crowd. You were reading the crowd and you're like, you knew what to do. I was like, yo, I just kept saying that to myself. I was like, she's so good.
Thank you.
So how did you get started in DJing?
Good question. So my DJ story is like, it's not as interesting as people think it is. It was literally a favor for somebody one day. They were like, hey, they need a female DJ for this thing at Eden Center. It was Victoria's Secret. They're doing a meet and greet with Victoria's Secret Angel, and they're like, they need a female DJ, so if I teach you, can you do the gig? And I was like, okay. Sure. And I literally practiced for a few days, and then I did it, and I was like, this was so much fun, and like, this was cool. And I always really loved music, and I was just like, if like something like that can like happens again, I'd be open to like that opportunity again. And then I started doing a lot of like in-store stuff for a long time after work and on weekends, in-store stuff in like restaurants, like downtown after work happy hours and stuff like that for a long time. And then just became more and more. And then I started getting like requests to do stuff during the week. I was a receptionist at the time. And so it would just, after all, it became like a little hectic to like have such a really packed weekend and have to go to work. And then sometimes after work, I'd go to things in the evening. So then I started to think like, okay, how can I like, do I have to make a choice here? I felt like I really had to, because my job was also wanting more responsibility for me that I really didn't want to do. And I was like, I just want to like see if I can be a DJ. So yeah, a couple months, maybe almost a year. It's about 10 months after I started DJing. It came to the point where I was getting enough requests for things where I was like, okay, if I like quit my job, I think I can like be okay. I wanted it to be at the point where I was making as much or more than my current job. My job was really good. So I'm like, I'm not going to give up the double income for less. So it got to the point where I was making, I think just about, if not just a bit more. And I was like, okay, I can take like a calculated risk here. Like worst case, I can go be a receptionist anywhere. Like that kind of job isn't going anywhere. So I did it. And I never had to be a receptionist again. Yay.
So now we're here 8 years later, right?
Yeah, 8 years later.
First DJ gig at Victoria's Secret was in 2015.
August 2015.
And then you quit June 2016.
Yeah.
So it took you less than a year to match your income from your job.
Yeah, and that was pretty much all from in-store and corporate things. I really wasn't playing like any parties at all.
How were you able to get into these gigs? Was it just like people that you knew?
A lot of word of mouth. The thing is with like corporate stuff and in-store stuff, like once they know of you and you're good, they don't want to exert the extra energy to keep finding people. So like if you're good with them, like they'll just keep hiring you until like you're like something happens or something. So like that's not a priority for them to like suss out DJ talent. It's like, oh, this person can do the job and they're appropriate. We're going to keep going until like the train runs out. So I got in good with quite a few big stores. I played for Nordstrom very often.
Nice.
I did a lot of stuff for like Sephora. And yeah, it was also the time where I feel like there was like an explosion of like brand activations in Toronto. So like, I feel like it was at the start of like when people really started to realize like these brand events were really a thing and like they were cool. And so there was a lot of those going on weekends and evenings. And yeah, that's where most of my work was.
But I'm just saying, like, were you able to get, like, how did you get in to begin with? You did the Victoria's Secret one first,
yes.
and then how did the next one happen?
From there, so the Victoria's Secret one went through a company. So the person who asked me to do it, they worked for that company as well. And they were like, hey, if you guys need another female DJ for these kind of things, because it was like pink and girly stores, and like they don't want to put like a guy in the bra and panties. So you know what I mean?
So it was like an agency.
Yeah, it was an agency that was out of the States actually. So they had contracts with a few stores up here. So I became the person that took like all their girly kind of gigs. And then when Nordstrom opened up here, I did a lot of work for them when they were doing like their pump up and like hype to get people, you know, knowing the store was opening. They did like a whole bunch of like opening events. So I did a lot of stuff for them. And when they opened all their stores, I would literally probably be at between the three, Yorkdale, Sherway, Eden Center, every weekend I'd probably be at a Nordstrom for something. Like their rollout program was really insane. Like they'd have makeup pop-ups and this pop-up and this designer. I think they did like an Alexander Wang pop-up once I got to play. So they had like a really strong marketing team that loved events, and like the employees really loved music, especially on the weekends. So yeah, I was the Nordstrom DJ for a long
So
time.
is that like all day, or is it like 4 hours?
Oh,
or
those were long.
Like?
And as much as I miss that, and I hate that the store's not with us anymore, those were long days. Like those were longer than work days. Like sometimes it was like a 7 to 7 and then I'd work at night, and then I'd probably be there again the next day from like an 11 to 5.
What the
Yeah,
heck?
they were about the money.
It was worth it.
That's the kind of money you can quit your job for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was worth it, but they were very long days. But also they're not demanding anything too crazy. They just want music that they don't have to hear all week, because the employees work all week and they just want their Saturdays to be a little bit more exciting. If anything, it was more for the employees than customers.
Well, it makes for a fun shopping experience as a customer too.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, and then you end up buying a little extra something because you're jamming.
Twerking by the Mac counter. You know what I mean?
So when you first started in DJing, you weren't necessarily known for soca.
Not at all. Like,
Okay,
not
so
at all.
when did you become like known in the soca space? In the city?
So I always either incorporated soca into like my mixes, or I would just make soca mixes, and kind of for myself, but also like that's the music that has my heart. Like I don't listen to anything more than that. Like by far, there's like soca is like 1 and 2, and then like R&B is 3, and then dancehall and stuff like that. So I always knew, and I figured like it would be so cool if one day like that's what I did, and that's also the genre of music my dad played. So like I was definitely a very type A soca baby, like in carnival from little. Like that's the music that raised me. So I always kind of was like in my head, wouldn't it be cool if like one day I actually, you know, if that was the music that propelled me. So I just kept making soca mixes. I became friends with Lisa Monet, and she hung around like Jay and Jester and those people. And like she was also like the second person to like put me into corporate things, because she co-owns a all-female DJ agency called Lux Life. So
Cool.
yeah, after I started doing the in-store things, I think how I tied in with her was like the February, I guess, 2016. They were starting Lux Life, and like Lissa was getting an influx of gigs, and she was looking for like other female DJs to basically back her up when she couldn't take something. So a few people recommended me to her, and then I think I did one gig for them for like a Shoppers Drug Mart Valentine's Day thing. And I did well, and they were like, hey, you did really well. Like, do you want to meet with us and like see like if we can like make a thing about this? So like I became her like backup for a while, which was fine because she did some exciting things. Yeah. I was totally happy to like take anything she couldn't take. But that also further propelled me into like the corporate space and like getting like to even like a bigger brand level. So then I do like Shoppers gigs, which are also really long days, but excellent pay. So yeah, I started to hang out with her. We started to talk, like it was a business thing, and then we started talking and realized we have a lot in common. There's not a lot of female DJs. Yeah. And like I feel like as women, it's hard to find other female friends that like to party as much as DJs party. So that's why I feel like it's always men. Even like now, one of my friends are like, we're going out again on the weekend. I'm like, yeah, girl, I gotta work. Who wants to come with me? But I think for her, it was like another woman who enjoys that scene as much. So like we became like fast friends. Cause I always wanted to go out with her. She'd call me on a Tuesday night and be like, yeah, girl, I'm coming out. So she hung out around Jay and Jester and those people. So I started hanging out with her. And they kind of started to ask like, who's the new girl? Who is that? Thing. And then she explained to them, yeah, this is Steph, whatever. And she also really knows her soca and likes to play soca. And I didn't know this. I didn't know any of that until years later. She told me, she's like, he's been asking about you for a long time. Really? And I was like, really? And he's like, I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, he has been. And I just kept making mixes.
Who was asking?
Dr. J.
Nice.
I kept making mixes, and like I finally built up the confidence to start like sending them to him and Jester. And I was just like, here's this mix, and so I wanted to give me feedback. But they never said it was bad. And I was like, okay, that's a good thing. And then, yeah, I just started, I love soca parties. So like naturally I'd go and support and like just be around these people more and more and like learning from them. And then like, yeah, the more mixes I made, the more I start to put them out there and make like only soca mixes. And then, yeah, I think last year I did a brief stint on Twitch, and I had no idea that Dr. J was watching me on Twitch. I didn't know. Me and another female DJ, Kashala, we started a little Twitch channel because we kept running into people telling us like, oh, no one's ever heard you play, and like we never heard you play, and so we're like, how do we break that? So we started doing a Twitch stream on Wednesdays, just me and her, and like we could play whatever we wanted, but I would always predominantly play soca. And unbeknownst to me, Dr. J was watching that, and I didn't know. But yeah, it was just like we wanted to have fun, and we wanted to like not give people that excuse to keep telling us we never heard you guys play, and I was just like, we're gonna fix that. So we did that for a while, and then from that is how he asked me to open for Patrice Roberts. And I was, yeah, I had no idea he was watching, and I was acting really stupid. But it's true. Like, we just want to like show our personalities and like show them like that's not an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause here is where you guys can hear us live and like see us and all the things you guys claim you can't see or whatever. So, yeah, I remember when he posted the flyer, because that was last April, was I think
that's when you started streaming?
I started streaming. When did we start streaming? It was a very short, like we did it for maybe like 10 weeks. So maybe last year in like maybe January or February. Maybe not. Was it the year before? Last year. Maybe, yeah. We started a Twitch stream, and we just on Wednesdays we stream for like 2 hours maybe. And yeah, and so I remember he posted the flyer for the concert, and she's like one of my favorite artists, so I was gonna go to the concert anyways, and I was just like, oh my god, that's so exciting that she's coming and doing.
You commented?
Yeah, I think I DM'd him, and I was like, that's so exciting that she's coming and doing her, I think it was Strength of a Woman. Last year was I Am Woman, her concert here. And he was like, well, I was gonna ask you if you wanted to open, and I was like,
did you get scared instantly?
I got scared. He's like, you have to be ready for this. And I'm like, no, I can do it. And then, yeah, I panicked for the whole time.
No, 100%.
Yeah, because I think that's the first time I ever played in front of him. And it was like, whoa.
To your knowledge.
To my knowledge. And so like when he like after I played my set at the Patrice Roberts concert, he like brought me back on stage, and he like mentioned the Twitch channel, and that's how I found out.
You're probably like this.
I know, that's how I found out he had been watching my Twitch channel, and I was like,
yeah, because you remember how you're acting.
Yeah.
Exactly. All the embarrassment,
right? All the nonsense.
Like, did you watch every episode?
Right. I was like, oh man, but I was like, okay, I guess it worked.
Yeah.
At the same time.
So I feel like there's so much to kind of unpack there. So first of all, are you still part of the Lux Life?
Yeah,
DJing
it's still
agency?
there, and I don't work for the first agency that did Nordstrom anymore. I feel like that was probably their biggest client, and like since the pandemic, a lot of like the stores just don't have the budget to like do a lot of those big in-store stuff, so they'll be one-off still. But that part of my job, the corporate part, has definitely changed, and like the party part has like become more of my work lately. Yeah, I would say I get less frequent but bigger corporate work now.
Okay.
But way more parties than I did. Like I play parties every weekend pretty much now, when before it was like here and there, little things like that. Yeah. So
And then with streaming on Twitch and just like your online presence, obviously it was what got you on stage with Patrice, but how important would you say it is just for any like upcoming female DJs or any DJs that maybe they're scared to go online? Like how important is it to build a brand online?
I would say like Twitch and stuff, especially like, Twitch for DJs became super popular during the pandemic because we had nothing else to do. But even now, it's still a good platform if you like just want people to get to know you, and like a mix is really good. And I always tell, that's like another big question I get from other female DJs is like, how do you whatever? And I'm like, just keep making mixes in the genres of music you want people to know you for.
Okay.
And like, even if it's an off genre, like make the mix anyways. Just keep making what you want to put out. because like that's your mixes and stuff are basically your resume as a DJ. Because once a party is finished, like that's done. But somebody can always go back to your mix and like remember, hey, I really like how this person plays. So I'm always like make mixes. And it helps you like grow because you can listen back and be like, ooh, that's really cringy and that was bad. Or like, oh, I really like this. I want to try this again. So taking the time to make mixes is super important, especially as you're starting out.
Would you say it matters what platform you're on? Like you'll be on Twitch, because sometimes I see DJs going live on TikTok.
Yeah, I haven't really broken to the TikTok space.
TikTok is a whole nother world. It just
I
sucks you in.
Gotten into that yet. I'm curious about it. And like sooner rather than later, I want to like look more into it and see if it's for me. But Twitch is good. Anything where people can see you live so they can like get rid of that excuse that they don't see you play is always really good, even if it's just for a little bit. And it helps you. It helps you get like instant feedback too. So even if you have like a small community, you don't have to have like thousands of people watching you. It helps build like a little bit of confidence. It definitely helped me build a little bit of confidence.
Because it's almost like playing in front of a live crowd.
Yeah. It's the closest you'll get pretty much before you actually play in front of a live crowd.
Well, yeah, I know that you started your Tell All Tuesdays because you wanted to break out of your shy shell and kind of let people know a little bit more about who you are.
Yeah.
And I was watching it and I thought it was so cool just hearing like a little bit more about, you know, who you are. Obviously on the podcast here, we're having like, this is the Tell All Tuesday.
I
like,
know, right?
Just encompassing everything. So when you first started DJing, you never like thought that it would replace your corporate income eventually? Or were you thinking like maybe, and like, let's just see what happens with this thing?
For the kind of person I am, I'm open to like doing stuff like that. I'll try it. If it doesn't work, I'll whatever. It was never like, it wasn't so much scary in that sense, because if I like something, I will try it. And if it fails, it's like, well, at least I tried it. So I wasn't like scared.
Would you think, one thing that I've been seeing a lot of DJs doing is like they do the mixes or like Twitch streams and stuff, they do the parties, and then eventually they have events. Is that something that...
Yeah, I do.
You do have events?
I want to.
I was gonna ask if that's something that you're planning.
I do. I did like a small summer series this summer called Saucy with DJ Revy B and Lissa. It was like an all-female cast. I think we had 4 of them. It was okay. I learned a lot from that experience, just from like the back end, because before then, like I never planned parties.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really good like crash course in like what it takes to put things together, and also like work with your DJ peers in more than a DJing capacity, like actually having to organize things with people. So I liked the experience. I liked it a lot. We may do it again next summer, I'm not sure, but it definitely gave me like a lot of insight and stuff into like what I would want to do, what I maybe want to do different, what I wouldn't want to do at all when I want to throw my own events, but I definitely do.
What were some of the things that worked out really well that you would definitely want to do in your next events? I
was responsible for like the social media portion of it, and like contacting the DJ talent and stuff. So I really liked like...
It's almost like your receptionist work again, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Interchangeable skills.
Yeah.
I liked like building that like social media hype around an event and like finding the content. I found that part really fun.
What are some of the ways that you build the hype?
Like we did it in themes. So I think our 4 themes were Bloom. What was the other one? We did an Afrobeats one. We were supposed to do a Caribbean one, but we didn't end up getting to do it, which I was very sad, because I'm like, that's like my time to shine. That's my favorite one, but it didn't happen. But I ended up playing Tsunami that day instead. So it was like it was like literally a switch. Like the event got canceled, and then like a day or 2 later, Buzzbee was like, hey, did I ever ask you about playing Tsunami? And I was like, you definitely didn't, but I will definitely be there.
That party was sick.
Yeah. So like things like that can happen where like one thing doesn't work out, but like immediately something else works out.
Nice.
And then I think we did an R&B one. So like I would just take like for our Afrobeats theme, I got to like, I'm not a big Afrobeats person, so it also helped me like dive into that a lot more. So I'd find like Afrobeats videos and like pull the clips, and like I got we had DJ Engel that does Caruza and stuff. She was our guest. So just like finding out more about her, and like that sound was interesting, and I like to like dig into a theme, and like, you know, we'd post dress code, things like how should you dress and like what kind of music should you sing. I think we did playlists for a few of them as well. So just like building that like experience before the event, I thought it was really fun.
Beyond like the agency that you told me about earlier, like are there any female DJ like networks or collectives or anything in the city?
I don't think so. And
maybe you can start one.
I know, right? But we do actually have like a lot of female DJ talent, but we don't, I don't think we have like a club. That's what you're asking. We don't. But as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty cool with most people. But that would be cool. It would be interesting for us to actually get together, because I know our experience is quite different than the men. So it would be cool to
and it can just be like a girl support club, because obviously, like you're saying, the DJing space is male dominated. So just having your girls to know I played this show last Saturday and these guys were annoying me or whatever, you know, it
would be interesting to sit down with them and just see what everybody's experience has been so far, and
and be able to share resources. Sometimes people have the competition or scarcity mindset, but actually a lot of times when we come together and we share resources, everybody gets to go up together.
That was when I started DJing, that was never my thing. I know when I started, a lot of people were like, oh, you can take this person, you can be better than this person. It's I'm not even thinking that way. First of all, I don't know not in that way, but I don't know that person's talent or skill well to ever be oh yeah, I could be better than them. So I never came into it in a competition sense. It's I just like to play music and I want to have fun. I'm not looking to step on anybody or overtake anybody. And one of the people, a lot of people were oh, you could be better than her was Lissa, and me and Lissa became really good friends. And it's imagine I had taken that direction. Instead of
you would always seen her as a threat.
No, you know what I mean? It's how can you put me against her? First of all, at that point, she had been so much further in her career than I. I was that's crazy.
People just talk.
Right? You know what I mean? And you have to be super careful with that, because somebody else might have taken that and been oh yeah, I'm gonna, be against this person. But I was I don't even know the girl like that. And you know what I mean? She seems cool. So I'm that's, you have to be careful with listening to advice from certain people, because I never wanted to compete with anybody. And I'm happy I've never taken that stance where it's any other female DJ is a threat to me. We're all different, we're all talented. There's no need for us to come into it as I'm gonna come into my career with the goal of
so you know what I mean? So when you're coming into the DJ space, although it is a competitive space overall, come in with a collaboration, especially if you're already a woman.
You know what I mean? Just come in to do what you want to do. Definitely there's friendly competition, because you do want to get big gigs, you do want to get on certain things that people are, and sometimes that does, for you to go and play a gig, that does mean sometimes somebody else won't play it who maybe have played it for a long time. But I don't think you should come into any space with your talent with the mindset that you have somebody's your target, because I feel you'll always be having to wait for that person to do something so you can figure out what you have to do to, you know what I mean? One up them. So I feel that's a recipe for destruction.
Yeah, because then too, any win that you have, it's always
it's always based on what the other person did, and it's I don't want to come in here and compete with her. Big Gigs was probably opening for Patrice Roberts.
That was a personal goal of yours?
Yeah, she's Beyonce to me. And I've played for her 3 times since.
Yeah, because I saw you did one at the X the other day.
And then I did her concert again earlier this year.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
you're about to be her tour DJ just now, eh?
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I think that has more significance to me because it's a Soca artist.
Did you grow up listening to her?
Artist. I did, and she just, I don't know, something about her and how she carries herself and just her style and stuff, and it's just yeah, girl. Yeah, she just I don't know what it is about her, but I love her, and she was very authentic, and she was very sweet and very hardworking, and just I like her vibe so much, and I feel I can see style wise and stuff. I see a lot of myself in her. I'd be yeah, I would wear that. Yeah. I would definitely wear that. So yeah, I've always just loved her music, her collaborations, her choice in songs, how she presents herself, her visuals. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you had your favorite Soca artists, you know, for all time, and that you didn't only get to play for her once, but you got to play for her 3 times. I'm telling you, tour DJ's coming up. Just don't worry. When I'll make this clip for you, and then I'll post it, and we'll tag her.
Yeah, she's amazing. Her team is really amazing, and that was also nice to see. She has a strong team, and everybody's on point and professional. And I was this is so cool.
As a DJ, would you ever need a team? Is that ever a thing?
Some days I feel I want one,
an assistant or something.
Yeah, but. I mean, this summer it was really busy, and a few times people were well, do you feel you want an assistant? But I'm I don't know what I would get them to do.
Just do all the work you don't want. For example, checking the emails, but I guess every day is different.
But, yeah, and of all those things, I kind of have to answer. So it would be just somebody in the middle to like, it'd be an extra step that I don't, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what I'd want them to do.
What are the things that you don't like about DJing?
What do I not like about DJing? Sorting music.
So what is that?
Sorting music. So like as a DJ, you have your music library, but like every couple of days, depending, or whenever you decide to, you go on the internet, you go in a music pool, and you look to see if there's new songs, or maybe you're looking for an old song to fill in like songs you're missing. And once you get that song, you need to put it in like either your hard drive or your computer, whatever you use, in a way that's gonna make sense to you so you can play it. So let's say I'll grab like 30 new Soca songs. I have to listen to all. First, I have to listen to all the Soca to see what's good, what I like. Do I need this remix? Do I need this edit? Do I need an intro? So it's a lot of like listening. The Soca you guys hear, or the music in general you guys hear from DJs, is like after we have filtered out hours of listening to like the stuff that's not that great. Is this, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of back end that people don't see. And like I'd say like 70% of that back end is just listening to music endlessly and being like,
well, that's where the assistant comes in.
Yep. But they can't decide for me what I would think is good. You know what I mean? They can't decide for me what edit or whatever that I might like. Because as much as,
so you don't just listen to the music, you edit it too?
No, like some music comes with like an intro, or sometimes like another DJ will remix it, and it's like, what if I don't like that remix? I don't want it. That's just like, yeah. An assistant can't decide your musical taste for you. So I have to listen to everything on my own. So it's a lot of like, click, listen, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
I feel like that if there was a place to get an assistant, I feel like that would be the place, because that's hours and hours. It and is, hours but and hours
that's probably the one place the assistant absolutely can't.
Because that's touch. Like the bread and butter.
Yeah, and then it's like you as much as we play like the hits and like all the big songs, there's also your personal taste and stuff you might like, and nobody can know that except for you. So. The assistant won't do it.
It's like, I need an assistant, I just don't know where I need the assistant.
Maybe for like handling general booking inquiries, because for the most part now it's like, this is the information I need to be able to provide a quote. Maybe they could do that, and like my rates for things depending, they could know that as well. I feel like day of event, having somebody to like make sure I eat stuff, because sometimes it's like hectic, especially if it's like a concert or something. And I like to like dress up and do all the things. So it's like I do my nails, I do my hair, I do my makeup, I need an outfit. And like that process, it's the getting ready for me.
All the preparation is like the biggest work. The preparation of the music, the preparation of you.
Because once you get to your gig, you should be prepared, and then you're just doing your thing. Yeah. It's all the stuff before.
So it's all the stuff before. That's the big deal.
They're preparing, the properly tagging music, clean, dirty edits.
Okay.
Yeah, especially like for me, I try to like prepare. I don't want to say prepare a set because that's not what I'm doing. So if I'm going to play a party, I will most likely look through all the music I think I want to play that night and put it in a folder. And what that does for me is it helps me to not default to like playing the same thing over and over again. Sometimes I'll like totally omit songs because I'm like, people have been playing that too much. I don't want to hear that anymore. Like, I'm not going to play that tonight. Somebody else can play it.
Yeah,
but it's not coming from,
don't be that DJ.
It's not coming from me. And like, that takes a lot because you're constantly looking through your catalog, but then you can do things like you can have certain tags so you know, okay, this may be all my music, but then I can like add this tag to it so that this is all the music I know I love, and then I can keep narrowing it down. This is all the music that talks about being in a wet fet. This is all the music that talks about drinking. This is all the music that like, it's like a fling up your backy kind of song. And it's like, it's true, but then it helps you because it's like, okay, tonight I want to be in like a hot gal segment, and like maybe I tag the hot gal segment, and like all the songs under that will come up, but that takes forever to do. But it is extremely helpful, especially for me. Like I get super nervous at gigs still.
Really?
So sometimes my brain
8 years later.
Yeah. I feel like 8 years later, but I'm in a new space now.
True.
Where there's a lot more pressure to like make my set a performance. It's not just playing like in-store at Shoppers where people want to hear like fun girly background music that I could do with my eyes closed. Like the eyes are actually looking at you now.
So what's the difference between now and then, like you said, performance?
Yeah, I feel like I have to be more creative and more like, just creative with my sets when I play at Soca parties now. Because it's not like I'm playing with like whoever. Like I'm around like the biggest and best in our city, so I can't come and be like basic. So like there's that whole level of pressure as opposed to if I'm playing like a corporate thing for Sephora. It's not any less important, but it's a way easier play. Like,
because like they don't necessarily know the sound or the music or anything.
they want to hear like fun, upbeat, girly, familiar, relatable. Nobody's looking for you to do any crazy transitions. Nobody's trying to like there's just the energy and the requirement is different. At a party, like you want the crowd to stay with you the whole time. You don't want that dead standstill space. So it's like constantly keeping that energy
What
up.
do you do when the crowd starts to go dead?
I cry. I'm just kidding.
What song do you play? Like, oh no, nobody cares.
Yeah, that too. You do have your bailout songs where you like know those are gonna like those are like the crowd pleasers. I tag those crowd pleasers where it's like, okay, maybe they don't know this song yet, it's not familiar with it, or it's just not hitting. Like I can put this crowd pleaser on, we're gonna be right back up, and I can try again. So like tagging and organizing your music, that's why it's such a big task, because like having those little cheat codes where you can just type in like crowd pleasers and like all the Soca crowd pleasers are gonna come up. That's a good cheat code, but that takes a very long time to actually sit down and do.
Okay, so tagging your music takes like dozens and dozens and dozens of hours.
And it doesn't end because you're constantly getting new music. But you constantly have to look back at your old music to like go back and like tag things. And it's like, oh,
why are you looking at your old music after you tag your new music?
Because sometimes even when I look through music, I'll find a song and I'm like, I didn't like that. And it's like, I like it now. You know what I mean? So every now and then, like looking back and seeing what you have is not often, but it can help. Or like there might be a song that didn't hit when it came out, but you've had it, but now it like resurfaced and like now it's big and you're like, oh, that's been in there. Like what else is like around that rhythm or whatever. So like music is like is not linear in any space. Like you're constantly going back and back. And then sometimes you remember a song you heard 10 years ago and you're like, do I have that? And then like you just like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? Yeah, it's a lot of, oh yeah, that. Oh yes, this. Oh yeah, that. And then it's 8 hours later.
Is your brain all day, everyday music?
I try not to, but it can be hard. I feel like especially with like social media, you want to stay on top of things and like make sure you have things. So like I am kind of constantly thinking about it. Yeah. It's hard to
do you ever well you said soca is your favorite genre, but I was gonna say like, do you ever unplug from soca and like the music that you play all the time, or is it just like
no, I mean it's my go-to, but it's not the only thing I like. I think after it would be like R&B probably. I'm like a big R&B lover girl. I love R&B. So I'm constantly trying to find like those new sounds as well, because I feel like I've disconnected from it a little bit, especially as the sound has changed over the years.
It's not the same.
Exactly. But there are a lot of really good artists. They're just not really mainstream. So you have to dig for them. Okay. So it's become like more of like a treasure hunt for like the traditional kind of R&B sound, not that trap R&B sound, 'cause I don't really like that. So when that started to become more mainstream, I kind of like not fell out of love with R&B, but it became harder to find the artists that were making what I consider like true R&B songs. But it's fun when you find one. It's like, oh, this is amazing. And then obviously like music is so vast, you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you find a song that you didn't even know existed from like the 80s or the 90s, and you're like, wow, what else does this artist have? And it's like a constant like pulling a thread. It's like you pull one thread and it's all of a sudden like 3 hours later you've been researching this one artist.
Tagging.
Yeah, so you do have to stop sometimes and be like, okay, I'm gonna do 2 hours today and then I'm gonna do something else, and then I'll come back and do 2 hours. Or I can sit there for days and just be in the house, me and Uber Eats on my laptop.
Sponsor me.
Right?
Okay, so what tips would you give to any upcoming female DJs that want to enter in the soca space, or maybe just DJing in general?
I would say, but number one is like work on your mixes, work on your craft, because your talent is going to be your calling card. So make sure you got it. And then network, support the people you want to play with. I feel like that's a big thing. Before, even now, like I still pay to go to my friends' parties. Like it's never gonna be that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, if I'm offered to get in free, 100%. But like support the people that you want to support you and your talent. I think that's really important. Because if nobody's paying, then nobody's getting paid. So go to the parties you think you want to play at, and actually like go to them before you approach somebody to be like, hey, I want to play here. And it's like, well, have you come? And you haven't gone, like that's embarrassing, because sometimes it's true though. Imagine like you're asking someone like, hey, can you put me onto this, and you haven't even stepped foot to see what that person has created. To me, that's embarrassing. I would feel shame. I would never ask somebody that. So actually just go and enjoy it. Don't have any expectations. And sometimes you'll find you don't actually want to play that party. You know what not even in a bad way, but it just might not be your vibe. It might not be your like scene. Or you might find, oh my God, you really like this, and like you really do. Then I feel like it's okay to approach somebody because you have some background, you support their party, and it's like hey, I really like what you're doing here because I've actually experienced it. Like, what can we do? And send a mix. That's why you need your mix, right?
Okay.
Because somebody asked me, like, if I was a party planner and someone's like, hey, I want to play in your party, and I've never heard of them before, I'm going to ask you for a mix. Because, like, how else do I know what you're doing?
Now on Instagram, too, if you're not following somebody, you only get, like, the one message. And then it says invite.
Yeah,
it says
right?
invite sent. So make sure you have your thing copied and pasted in your notes or ready to go.
Have your mix ready. It's true.
Yeah.
Because that's one. There you go. That's your resume. Have a mix. Have, like, if you have a Twitch stream that you saved, send it to them. But, like, have something to show. Because sometimes it's not even that you're not talented. It's just that people don't know who you are yet.
Yeah.
And if you have no resume and no backing, they're not going to know what you're doing.
And all your online work is your resume now.
Yeah, it is. And, like, your Instagram is your resume. That's why, like, I keep all my flyers up.
Okay.
So I just had pictures of myself. Like, okay, oh, she's cute. Like, what else are we doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I keep all my flyers up because if somebody just heard about me and like, oh, I wonder what she does. There you go. You can scroll back.
Your name is also
years?
DJ Steph Honey.
Exactly. But you know what I mean? You can be DJ anything on Instagram. Doesn't mean you played anywhere.
True.
So your mixes and like proof of your work is super important to me anyway.
And then also it's a good look too if you're doing big parties and big stages like what you're doing.
Keep that fire up.
Social proof. It's the social proof like, yes, I did play for Patrice Roberts.
Yeah, but like if you do stuff like that and you're doing parties that you actually enjoy, people you like to work with, show that off. You know what I mean? That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
That is.
I think sometimes people feel like they don't want to like, I don't know, maybe boast or show off too much. But it's like when it comes to social media and your online presence.
That's your resume. That's how somebody who has never heard of you is going to click on your Instagram and just see pictures of you in Starbucks. Like, what is that going to show? I want to see your mixes. I want to see the parties you perform. I want to see you, if you're a DJ, if you're an MC or whatever, you're in the party space. I want to see you enjoying yourself at a party. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that kind of content for people in our space is super important. I don't want to go to a DJ's page and just see pictures of them. I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear your musical tastes and stuff like that.
So before you were telling me on your mom's side, you're Lucian, and on your dad's side, you're Trini. And this year was your first year going to Trinidad for Carnival.
It was amazing. It was mind-blowingly amazing. I'd recommend everybody go. Or I guess if you're from a Caribbean island and your island has a carnival, go to that carnival and support it. Because, that was like... I don't know what's going to top that experience for me. Even though I'm going back next year, like, I'm just like, could it be as fun? I'm like nervous.
Oh no. Yeah. When something's too good the first time.
Like, can we do this again? Can we like repeat? And I'm going for longer this time.
Oh yeah. How long?
I maybe just under 20 days.
Oh, nice. That's a decent trip back home.
6th to the 22nd. So like just under. I think I went for 10 days this year. That was good. And I made sure I had time. Like, we got there, like, Carnival Saturday morning. We were, like, right on the line.
Whoa.
We weren't even supposed to go.
You guys didn't even get a warm-up.
We booked our ticket November for February. And that was, like, a random wake up one day, and it's like, oh, we really want to go. We just kept checking off and on.
Yeah.
Woke up, like, random November, and the tickets were, like, 600 something. And we were like... I called
you never typed so fast in your life, eh?
Wake up, I don't know what you're doing. I was like, are we going? Yes, no. And now she was like, yeah, let's go. So
how many of you?
I flew down with my cousin, and then Letitia was already there.
Okay.
So we went, and then it was like, do we get a costume? And then Letitia had like an in for me to get a costume with Yuma.
Nice.
And my cousin was like on the fence, and I was like, girl, if I have a chance to get a costume, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna get a costume.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
But I told her, I'm like, okay, can we make it so like at least she has family there too. My cousin's also the same mix as me. Our moms are sisters. They're St. Lucian, and her dad is also Trinidadian. Okay. So I have like a couple of cousins like that. We're all girls for some reason with that mix. So she has family there. I'm like, if your cousin can like hang with you for those 2 days or something, like I want to make sure I'm not gonna ditch. I want to make sure it'll be okay. And she was like, yeah, it'll be fine. So then I got my costume, and then she was like, she wanted one too, and we were like, okay, let's try for two. And then we got her costume, and this was like our section was sold out, so there was no.
Oh, these guys had the exclusive.
perks. Yeah, there was nothing, and then we got our costume, and I was like, oh, this is amazing,
and it looked beautiful.
It was I could wear that costume today, and you would think I got it today. It was the best made. Like, it was amazing. I'm so excited for mine this year.
Again with Yuma?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Make up Yuma when I come to Trinidad. You guys know I want to come play with you guys.
No, their experience was fun. I would recommend them to anybody.
Yeah. From
end to end, it was fun. Our goodie bag was fun. I didn't pick up my costume. I sent my dad with Letitia to pick up my costume. Yeah. And like she said the process was pretty seamless, and we just had like the best time.
That's
best
amazing.
time. Mm-hmm.
And what I was saying to you before is like, I know a lot of people who have family on one side and on the other side from different places. It's like you feel more connected to one side than another. And I remember you were saying that like you were speaking about your St. Lucian side and Creole and stuff, and like how you don't feel so connected to it
as
compared
a child,
to Trinidad.
Definitely. Now I feel like as an adult learning more about St. Lucia on my own, I feel more connection. But as a kid, my dad went to Trinidad every year. So like every year we'd get a new t-shirt, and like he'd bring back like VHS cassettes of like recordings, and he'd bring back music, and he'd bring back food, and he'd bring back main Trinidad for us every year. And like his friends were always over hanging out, and they're like, he had a lot of Trinidadian friends, and my dad's house was just always like, he was a DJ, it was the party house, you know?
Yeah, that's headquarters.
Right? It was a place people came to like live before the thing. They helped him set up, so like it was always very like lively, and there was always like soca music playing and food somebody was cooking. Like it just it felt like a little taste of the Caribbean, even though I hadn't been there yet. And so for my mom's side, it felt like more of like a secret society of St. Lucia because like the language, it's true, the language barrier, and she didn't go as often when we were kids. So like she would tell us like her stories, but like they were from years ago. And my mom is also like a split. Her dad is Vinci. So like she's also in that like two in the middle of something. So she had like stories from like my grandfather who's Vinci from his side, and like so it was just like another split up of countries. And I don't know. It just felt it was different. She didn't talk about it as much. I feel like also in Ottawa there was like a larger Trinidadian community, and there was just more to know about it than there was there's a St. Lucian community, but again it was secret. The music is in a different language. Like I don't know what you're gonna say.
So did your mom ever speak St. Lucian Creole at all in the house?
Oh yeah, but it was when like you don't want the kids to know what you're talking about. That's when she would like she didn't speak it to us to teach us. It was like, oh yeah, she on the phone with like her girls, and she was like, we need to have an adult conversation. That's when she would like speak it. So we'd catch on to things like, we know the bad words, obviously. You know what I mean?
That's the foundation.
Right? We'd catch on to like the little things, but like to have a fluent conversation, I couldn't do that. But also it's like broken French. So like you can pick up on like the little things and you're like, oh, that sounds like it means like that. But like, yeah, it just was different as opposed to my dad's house, which was like literally mini Trinidad.
Probably has like the flag up somewhere.
You'd walk in there, you'd be like, yeah, I know what island is in here 100%.
So we were just kind of chatting a little bit about some of your experiences DJing. Let's just talk a little bit about like survival tips as an upcoming DJ.
As a female DJ, also might be different than as a male.
True.
Yeah.
But you were talking about like the laptop and like outdoor gigs and how, you know, the outdoors can mash up your equipment.
Yeah.
So what are some
direct sunlight and extreme cold are not friendly to laptops. If I know I'm going to be playing outdoors, I usually ask the person in advance, like, is there going to be a tent? And if they're like, no, there's not going to be a tent, I make sure they know that there needs to be a tent, because I'm not risking my laptop for you. For me personally, my music is on an external hard drive. That's just like as a safety thing. And also like my laptop wouldn't hold all my music right now anyways, unless I get a new one. So, and also like, I feel like I've seen people when their computer crashes and then like their music is gone or they can't access it right away and then you panic. You're supposed to back it up, but like sometimes you forget, or sometimes you maybe during the week you downloaded 200 new songs and you haven't had a chance to back it up yet, but you've gone through all that editing and tagging and now your computer has crashed. So like, you know what I mean? So I keep my on external, and I have like 2 externals at home. So
she's backed up.
I'm not that music library. I'm not losing that thing at all. So yeah, I have my one that I travel with, and then I have like 2 backups at home, just so I make sure like there's no room for losing.
Upcoming DJs need to know backup.
Even if it is, yeah.
That's the music library is the money.
It is the money. It's probably, as you build your music library, it's going to be worth more than anything, because you, especially as a DJ, when you get around artists, you might have exclusive tracks nobody's ever heard before. You may have edits that you've made that nobody else has, like,
or like dubs.
Yeah, stuff like that people pay for. And it's like, imagine losing that. Like, your music library is
gold.
It literally is priceless, pretty much. Yeah. I think I'm up to like, I don't know, 30,000 songs. So like, even imagine $1 per song at that, like at the amount I have. That's
So what? Okay, so when DJs, okay, so speaking of like
of
that,
money and how we get music.
no, like, well, we can talk about that
Yeah.
too, but how do DJs price themselves? Like when you're coming up, like how should we be charging?
I feel like there's like a silent standard and there's like no standard. You obviously don't want to undercut people because you don't want it to become like people are just paying for the cheapest. But I think it depends on your skill set, and you do have to be realistic about your skill set. Some people are beginner DJs, there's intermediate DJs, there's like better than intermediate, and there's like superstar crazy DJs like Puffy or somebody like that.
So good.
Like I would not charge what Puffy probably charges because we're not at the same skill level, and like you have to be honest with yourself about stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are people who are going to be more talented than you or differently talented than you, and like gauge appropriately what you should be paid. Ask around and be like, hey, when you were starting out, what did you get paid? Gauge if you're at that person's level and see if that makes sense for you. Yeah. I'm not with like price gouging people because you're a DJ. Like some people are not worth the money and some people are definitely worth the money.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what were you talking about just now when you were saying like paying for the songs?
Oh, like how DJs get music. A lot of people ask me that. There's like music pools that you as a DJ you pay into. So you might pay like $30 a month, $40 a month, $20 a month, and basically you get access to a bunch of DJ tracks, music, edits, intros, acapellas, and stuff like that. So you pay like a 1 monthly fee. So we're not
so
buying
cool.
every song.
I really thought it was like, you know, like a
we would be
download.
broke. Some songs you do, because sometimes some songs, especially Soca and stuff like that, they don't exist on streaming platforms. They don't exist on Apple Music. They don't exist anywhere
It's just
legitimately
YouTube.
to get it from anywhere. Even if you wanted to buy it, you have like just YouTube, which sucks. And I really do hope like in the future, and I feel like with technology and all the stuff and tools we have as like Caribbean artists, they take more seriously putting their music on streaming platforms and proper platforms so we can get paid for that.
Yeah, so everybody can make money.
Yeah, because YouTube is great, but like if somebody's just ripping your song off YouTube because they can't find it anywhere else, you're not giving them a choice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm just going to ask you again just to make the cut easier.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
No problem. So my Instagram is DJ Steph Honey at DJ Steph Honey. My website is the same, djstephhoney.com, and I'm on SoundCloud and Mixcloud. You can probably search DJ Steph Honey and I'll pop up.
Thank you so much for your
No
time today.
problem.